Good evening, and welcome to the second ever episode of Wits End News. As you can see, I'm back home from my uncle's house, as I found out you can in fact be evicted by family members if you get on their nerves. As always, I'm your host, Andrew. We start off tonight with probably my favorite story of the quarantine so far, as 99-year-old Captain Tom Moore, a retired British Army officer, started walking laps around his backyard to raise money for the NHS charities. His goal was to complete 100 laps of 25 meters and raise £1,000 by his 100th birthday on April 30th. He completed the laps on April 16th, but by April 24th, he had helped raise over £28.7 million. That's over 3 times the population of Seoul. Just don't tell Donald Trump. What makes this story even more adorable is he has co-recorded a cover of You'll Never Walk Alone. The single topped the UK charts, making him the oldest person ever to have a #1 single.
There's a golden sky and a sweet silver song of the lark.
Walk on,
Walk on,
walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone.
Awe factor aside, which was turned up to 11, this is an inspiring story of what the human spirit can accomplish in times of need. What's truly amazing that this war vet, who has fought in a literal world war, is out there praising the brave healthcare workers who are fighting on these current front lines. Bravery recognizes bravery, and good people all over the world recognize that adorable war vets deserve all of our money. In other news, one of the most terrifying videos recently surfaced on my Facebook page. Let's have a look. Wow. Somewhere in heaven, Alfred Hitchcock is having a field day. No one can say he didn't warn us about the birds. Honestly, these grackles probably just heard about the incredible deal Kroger was having on microwavable dinners. 10 for $10? Are you kidding me? Here at Wits End News, our ongoing theory is that this is the government's newest tactic to try and keep people indoors. Modern problems require modern solutions, unless people are idiots. Then you must resort to training animals to do your dirty work. And now for the family check-ins. Jillian, how are you and Kutsi dealing with conflict in these confined spaces?
And there's a penalty shot about to take place. This happens like once every 10 years.
Kangaroo shop, kangaroo shop, kangaroo shop, kangaroo shop!
All right!
Well, we all have our breaking points. And James, what's it been like going to Costco?
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
May the social distancing force be with you. And Natalie, what's your schedule look like these days?
4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger. Tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again. 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked.
Glad you're keeping busy. And Mom and Dad, what's it been like with Andrew living back at home?
You're late.
For what?
Fair enough.
Yep, sounds about right. And Sanea, what's it been like going to the grocery stores on the island of Montreal?
Listen to me. I'm only going to say this once. We are going on the trip now. It's going to be rough. It's going to feel like it's going on for a long time, so it's going to be hard to stay alert. It's going to be even harder to be quiet, but you have to do both. You have to do every single thing I say, or we will not make it. Understand?
Wow. Please stay safe out there. And now for weather with our trusted meteorologist, Andy. What's it looking like this week, Andy?
Thanks, Andrew. Well, as you can see, it's a beautiful day out here today, which can only mean that there's an inevitable avalanche of chores coming my way, in an attempt to get the property summer ready just in time for fall. but I've decided we should check in with our friends south of the border. So I've brought in our American correspondent, Herb McCreary. Herb, things don't look great for you right now. Where are you? What's going on? Thanks for having me, Andy. I'm actually in my backyard right now. As you can see, unfortunately, we had a bit of flooding this year, because that's just kind of the year 2020 has been so far. But we're all working hard to keep our heads above water and try and get through this as quickly as possible while still maintaining our social distance. I see. And on a side note, how has all of this affected the fishing industry? Well, as you know, all schools are now closed, and that includes schools of fish. So the fish are now maintaining their social distance of 6 feet apart, and that's made fishing incredibly hard. Luckily, demand has dropped since no one's going to restaurants anymore. One big good that is coming out of this is that it's stopped the whales from overeating, and I think we're going to see a whole lot of shredded whales once all this is over. So you can anticipate some very exciting whale watching coming up in the future here in Gloucester. Thanks, Herb. Please stay safe out there. Thanks, Andy. So as you can see, Andrew, people's lives are being affected in ways we might not even consider. So it's important to keep that in... Is that what I think it was? Back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andy. Now, in these times of quarantine, we need to be prepared for whatever life throws at us. Being able to live off the land may come in more handy than we anticipate in the coming weeks. With that in mind, we brought in our survival specialist and Alabama militia member, Anders.
Thanks, Andrew. Now it is clear to me that the United States government is infringing on the constitutional rights of the American people by forcing them to stay indoors and not die. If you want to continue living as a free American, you may just need to go off the grid. I'm here today to teach you the basics of survival in the wilderness. And one of the most basic skills one must have to survive is how to build a shelter. I will be showing you how to build one of the most basic shelters, or as we like to call it in the militia, a hoochie tent. Now, in order to build your hoochie tent, you're going to need two materials: bungee cords and a tarp. Now, these are two essentials you must have on you at all times. Other essentials include a knife, a lighter fluid, canned goods, and last but not least, your Second Amendment rights. Now, there are three criteria to consider while trying to find the perfect spot for your hoochie tent. Number one, it must be on high ground. If it is not on high ground, chances are you will float away if there is ever rain. Number two, find a nice soft spot to be the bed of your tent, because this will now be your bed. And number three, ideally you'd like to find a place with 8 to 9 feet of space between two trees, as these will be the pillar of your shelter. Now, I've taken the liberty of building a hoochie tent to show you all how it's done. It's very simple. Basically what you want to do is at the middle of your tarp, you want to attach a bungee cord to the tree, and you want to do that at both ends. To keep up with militia standards, the height of the hoochie tent must not exceed the knee. Now, hopefully y'all are shacked up with a tall blonde whose legs go on for days. That'll help you fit your higher tent. Y'all with me, fellas? Speaking of hot blondes, fellas, we know we're perfectly fine with living off the land. But let's say you're with your lady friend, and she wants a date night even while living in the wilderness. With two basic materials, you'll be able to spruce up your hoochie tent in no time. All you're going to need are some Christmas lights and a blanket. So now y'all got the hoochie tent looking dapper, but you want to make sure the mood is just right for your date. Well, with a couple small adjustments, you'll be having her eating out of your palm in no time. All you're going to need to cook her a nice home-cooked meal and some live music. Now, for that home-cooked meal, y'all are going to want to pull out all the stops, and I mean cook her something real fancy. And by that I mean Chef Boyardee's Big Beefaroni. And for the live music, well, that just comes from the heart. It's as simple as that, folks. Follow these easy steps. You You can then slip into something a little bit more comfortable and be ready for a wonderful evening under the stars. Which, if you can see, means you probably made the hooch tent wrong.
Thanks for that, Anders. Now, here at Wits End News, we're constantly striving to bring you helpful tips to try keeping life as normal as possible. With that in mind, we bring in our health and wellness expert, Andre, who I believe is brewing up quite the story for us. Andre? Namaste, Andrew, and welcome back. Today we're going to be focusing on the health benefits of natural tea and how to make the perfect cup every time. Now, as we all know, natural tea can help cure any ailment just as effectively as Western medicine, including nausea, coughing, sore throat, constipation, and not looking intelligent. Studies show that you look 38% more intelligent while holding a cup of tea. Don't believe me? Now you do. To make the perfect cup, what you're going to need is some loose leaf tea, a tea filter, a teaspoon. I just realized why they call it a teaspoon. So clever. And a cute mug. Today we are going with a North African mint tea, as the peppermint and licorice goes very nicely with the eucalyptus and tea tree oils coming out of the diffuser. Now what you want to do is take the loose leaf tea, take a nice generous scoop of that, and then place it directly in the mug. Now take the recently boiled water and pour it in the mug. Once that is done, you take the tea filter and you place it gently in your mouth. Now once the tea is heated, all you have to do is set it. You'll Thanks, Andre. Can someone go check on him? And now sports with Drew. Thanks, Drew. Now that's all for us here at Wits End News tonight. As always, we send you off with Andre's TikTok dance of the week. From all of us here at Wits End News, please stay safe and keep your distance.